Hi there, welcome along to this live show as Celtic's pre-season gets underway with a 3-1 win against Sheffield Wednesday. A good start to Ange Postecoglou's reign as Celtic manager. Joe Donnelly from the Celtic View is here. We'll be chatting through the talking points from that game. We've got Tom Boyd live from the Legends living room as well. Tom's just off the golf course. How are you, Tom?
I got beat with my son today, so that was a bit disappointing for me.
We'll be chatting to Tom a bit later on, but I'm delighted to say we can go live to the camp now down in Newport in Wales. Paul Cuddihy is, I believe, sitting next to Callum McGregor.
Gerry, you're absolutely right. I am sitting next to Callum McGregor. Thanks very much, Callum. It's your first week of pre-season. Obviously, you get that slightly extended break. How have you found the first few days training?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really intense as well, which is obviously what you would expect from pre-season. So, good getting back into the swing of things. And everyone's in good spirits, ready to work.
We saw you training the other day, and you were leading the way when the players were running around the pitch, you and John Curry. So I'm guessing you don't lose any of that fitness because you only had 2 or 3 weeks off anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think we had like 12 days. So like you said, pre-season breaks and stuff like that are really quite short now when you're playing international football. So you don't actually lose that much fitness, which is a positive as well. You just come back in, kind of top up with a few double sessions, and then you feel like you're ready to go again. So I'm feeling good.
Now, obviously, the reason that you did report late was the fact that you and several other Celtic boys were with Scotland at the Euros. I'm guessing from a personal point of view, it was a great experience given your performance against England, your performance and your goal against Croatia. But as a team, disappointment that we didn't get out of the group.
Yeah, it was a really tough group, and I think probably when you look at it now, Czech Republic quarter final, similar with Croatia, and then obviously now England in the final. So it was a really tough group, but for Scotland to be there for the first time in so long, I think that everyone was hoping that we would get out the group and do something special. But I think the level was a real high level and great exposure for the boys. I'd certainly speak to the Celtic lads. Everybody loved it, loved every minute of it, the challenge of it, and just how big the competition was. It was excellent.
I mean, it's incredible to think you were 5 the last time Scotland had got to a major final, and then you're now playing and starting for your country.
Yeah, obviously, everyone hopes that it won't be as long until the next one. So, it was a brilliant moment for us as players to be the first group of players to play in a major tournament for so long, and like I said, we absolutely loved it, and it's just given us a taste for trying to get to the next one as well.
And until we do, then you are the answer to the quiz question: who's the last Scotland player to score a competitive goal in a tournament? Yeah,
that's always nice to have a wee quiz question after you. But no, it was great. Obviously, personally, it was brilliant to get the goal, and just unfortunate on the night that we were up against a good side, and you see the quality of the goals that they scored as well. So you're in a real high level match, which we just didn't quite have the level to get there.
And probably in terms of the results, the highlight was that goalless draw at Wembley where Scotland, I think you could make a case that we could have actually won that game. We now know that England have gone all the way to the final, England versus Italy. What's your prediction for that?
It's got to be Italy. I think, to be fair, I think Italy have been excellent right throughout the tournament. They've played some great football, and then the other night, they showed another side to them, the character when they were tired. They dug in, they were playing for each other, and I think you can see at the end of the game with Mancini and all the players round in a huddle, just how much it meant to them as well. And I love seeing that where it's a group of guys and they're absolutely fighting, giving their all for the cause, and it's brilliant to see. So hopefully Italy go and do it.
I think it's been a brilliant tournament for fans to watch. The only annoying thing for me is, see that tune, the 3 lines in a shirt, that's stuck permanently in my head now, and I keep stopping myself from singing it.
I know there has been a few catchy tunes, isn't there? That's what happens with tournament football. There's always one song, and it kind of sticks in your mind. Obviously, we were away with Scotland, and the McTominay song was getting played like every single day in our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So boys ended up singing it virtually every minute of the day. So it's pretty similar in that sense.
And obviously everybody that's going to be watching this, our focus is on Celtic. We had the first pre-season game, we beat Sheffield Wednesday 3-1. Obviously you and the rest of the guys sat out that one. You'll be looking forward to hopefully getting a run out against Charlton on Saturday?
Yeah, I think obviously that'll be us sort of back in 6 days. So, like you said, with the short break, then I'm assuming that we'll get some football on Saturday. But just to touch on the young lads yesterday, I thought they were excellent. After a kind of shaky start, the boys regained their composure and went on and won the game convincingly in the end, which is great to see. And obviously, I mentioned for young Moffat, his attitude's been first class. I remember watching him at the end of last season, training on the Astro himself, and every day they would do finishing, and I was walking by thinking he's got a finish on him, the boy. And I wasn't surprised yesterday when it drops, he half volleys it into the net. So it's brilliant for guys like that to come in and make an impact and show everyone what they can do.
And I'm guessing, I've spoke to you about this before, in terms of being role models for them now to be training and playing alongside you. You've kind of gone on the pathway. You've showed them how to get to be a Celtic first team player, and they're having to learn from you, and you can pass on what you've learned.
Yeah, hopefully. That I always like to try and help young players coming through. I love to see academy players coming in and doing so well. So I'll be trying to push them and help them as much as I can. And like I said, it's brilliant that they can come in and show their personality and show what they've got. So for them, they just have to keep pushing.
And obviously it's a new era for Celtic, new manager Ange Postecoglou. Again, you've just had a few days to train under his guidance, and how have you found that? Yeah,
it's been good. He's very intense in the way that he wants to work, kind of short, sharp, hard, intense bursts. So he's watching everything in training. I think he's trying to suss everyone out, and obviously that's what he needs to do. He needs to come in and look at the picture, see what he needs. See what he can, implement into the squad as well. So, like you said, early signs are good, and we just see where it builds from here.
And it's the same every season, but you think it's not too long, 20th of July, a first competitive game against Midtjylland, and it comes around really, really quickly.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing. Obviously, pre-season, it's not really pre-season because the most important games come at the start, and that sets your season up. So, there's a lot of work to be done, but it's coming around pretty fast, so we need to knuckle down, and like I say, we assess the situation, and we have to push and get ready for that first game.
And I suppose the game against Charlton and then Bristol City next week, is that just all about getting that game fitness that's so important?
I think so, yeah. I think match fitness is so important, especially going into these early rounds of the qualifiers. Some of the teams are kind of midway through and they're already playing, so they're up to speed. So it's so important that we get up to speed. The manager brings in what he wants to implement into the team, and we need to gel pretty quickly.
Now I don't want to leave you without asking this final question, and this is the debate that's been going on between here and Celtic Park. Sliders with or without socks?
I would say the fashionable thing to say is without socks, right? But I've done it plenty of times in my career, so I'm going to go with you on this one.
Excellent, that's the right answer. So I know you guys have been wondering what that is, so from Callum's mouth, with socks.
Thanks guys. Callum, just before you go, in the last couple of seasons you've probably played more competitive football than most, if not all, players in Europe. So the Celtic fans want to know that from the Scotland games and the Euros to now that you have managed to have a break and you have managed to kind of put your feet up and relax.
I managed to get a short break, yeah. But I've managed to go on the golf course for a bit as well and enjoy some time away from football and try and switch off. So I feel good. I feel in a good place mentally. So I'm just looking forward to the games and seeing what direction we're going in.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Callum. All the best. Cheers, Callum. Cheers, Paul.
Thank you.
Joe, what do you think of the first performance yesterday? I know it's early and a lot of the young boys get a chance because the likes of Callum and the other Scotland boys aren't playing yet. Who stood out for you?
A lot of the young guys. It was great. You mentioned Owen Moffat, and Cal's rightly saying how good at finishing he seems to be. That goal certainly suggests so. It was good to see a little bit more of Ewan Henderson, who we saw a couple of years ago in and around the first team. Good to see Barry Coffey, who has been playing really well for the reserves coming into the team. Thought Jonathan Afolabi was good when he came on, Callum McGregor, and it was just good to see getting the team back on the pitch. As Cal said, it's pre-season. I think the manager was measured in the way that he gave his post-match about, glad to get the win, but it's pre-season. But the competitive games do come around so quickly for us, especially the European ones, which are so important at this stage in the season. So it is pre-season, but they are important to get, minutes in the legs.
Tom Boyd, let me bring you in just now. Were you a fan of pre-season back in your day?
Like Callum says, I had a few pre-seasons where I had very short breaks. And like yourself, it's a bit, you don't really know what to do with it. You want to Do you just go on complete rest, or do you just want to keep ticking over? But I'm sure Callum, as you say, had enough rest. And once it starts again, you're desperate to get back into it.
Yeah. What do you make of the start that the new manager has had?
Obviously, there's still a lot to get played in terms of the football, but the most important thing is we're off and running very, very quickly with the Champions League qualifiers, and that's a huge disappointment. You would have liked to have a lot longer to prepare for that. But it was good signs yesterday. Obviously, it was a wee ropey start for the young boys, and some that can impress and maybe push their way into first team mode. So that's the target of these young boys who are playing, quite a few of them, to make sure they get in. And obviously now the established players will come back and hopefully get their opportunities as well.
I think one of the best things which Ange Postecoglou addressed at his own press conference, Tom, was about he'll be judged on his results. You know, he comes here, there's a lot of expectation. You know, we're looking at last season, we're looking forward. But he said that he appreciates that, and of course he will. But the fact that he actually said it, and the fact that he's taken that forward, I think that's really positive for everybody involved at the club, fans included.
Well, I think everybody's got to be impressed with his manner and his demeanour and of how he's coming across and how he is explaining himself. And we've seen the retraining sessions that you've supplied. And as Callum says, they're trying to get them up-tempo, upbeat. And we've seen plenty of that. But the younger lads playing yesterday with a couple of sort of fringe first-teamers and experienced ones. So it's all trying to come together. But trying to come together very, very quickly, which is obviously a difficult ask. And I don't know what kind of level that Michelin are away at this stage as well. But we've got to get fully fit for those games, which is just around the corner.
And obviously recruitment's a huge part of the manager's job at this stage. And Ange has said that there will be a lot of players coming in. We don't know if there's any players going to be going out. But that competition for places is what the players want. I know some fans might think that players like to be a guaranteed name on the team sheet, but these guys are professional and they know that the more they're pushed from someone competing for that place, the better that they'll perform.
Without any doubt, and that's what you want. You want better players in. Better players give you the better opportunities of qualifying for the Champions League or getting to the winning the Championship again, the Premiership rather. So yeah, we've got to make sure that we do get the best quality that we can have, and that's. I'm trying to think. I'm looking back to similarities in my time as well, and I think I can remember when we stopped it anyway back in Vim's time. A lot of similarities to that, and a lot of changes were ongoing, right even through to the transfer window was open a little bit later where we got Paul Lambert. You imagine that. I don't think we'll get somebody of the quality of a Champions League winner coming to join Celtic the following season. So it's just where we are, but we're trying to get the best players within our budget.
I was talking to your mate Mark Reaper for the Midtjylland Matchday programme. How's that for a plug? You can read this interview when you pick up the programme digitally for the game. But no, I mean, we made the same comparisons between Wim coming in at that time, Ange coming in, a kind of process of change and what have you. And Mark was saying that at Midtjylland as well, they've got a new coach coming in. He described him as quite eccentric, and he said that fans can expect to see this man running up and down the touchline at Celtic Park. And I think that, given it's so early, Midtjylland won the league the season before last, kind of similar to Celtic. In terms of points to prove, there seems to be similarities between these two teams as well.
Yeah, and I would say that, certainly similarities between the teams. And looking back to when the similarities in terms of the changeover, I'm not sure if Milan have the same sort of process as us in changing over, but when you look at the players that we signed away back there for that season, quite often, I think quite a few of them were established internationals, and that makes a huge difference to your squad. And when you can bring players in, we're trying to get some younger boys, possibly the ones we've got just now, and they've got to be hitting the ground running. We don't have the time to allow and afford a young boy to make a few mistakes in certain games. So we've got to make sure that these guys are off and running. And the examples of what we're seeing in the game yesterday, some of them seem to be hitting the ground a lot quicker, and that's a normal process. But they've all got to go out and impress, and hopefully the new signings will certainly enhance the players that we've already got.
Just before we finish up, Tom, I just wanted to talk to you about the supporters. It's looking good at the moment for getting fans back into the stadium, and hopefully by the time that the season starts and gets established, we'll have some fairly big crowds in there. As Celtic fans, we know how much the atmosphere adds to the occasion, how much the players feed off it. Do you think the atmosphere is going to be even better this year? We've seen it at the Euros, that even sometimes with a half-full stadium, just the excitement of being back, the atmosphere has been incredible. I, for one, can't wait to experience this new atmosphere.
Listen, it's just great that Celtic are back and back playing. The response you hear and the feedback you get and Twitter and stuff, and everybody just so happy that we're back watching the Hoops play. And without any shadow, some people say that I think we missed our fans more than most, and certainly the evidence of how the season went, I think that can certainly be argued. We do. We have some magnificent atmospheres. Some of the players, the younger players come in, the new signings we've got, they all want to experience Celtic Park in a full night, hopefully a European Champions League night, the qualifiers obviously early on, and it certainly helps. So we want to make sure that, not that we can do anything about it, but we've got to hope that everything will be okay come the first competitive games.
Because that's the thing, Tom, you spoke about that your era and bringing players in. There are players like Albion Ayeti, for example, obviously scored yesterday. It's not, they've not experienced that because they've come at a time in the summer last year where the fans weren't getting in, and they must be absolutely desperate to experience it the first time a year on.
Well, obviously for quite a few teams and players that bring in players from foreign countries, as we did with Albion. I know he played down in London for a wee bit, but certainly coming up to a new country and new culture, and the COVID situation, it must have been absolutely horrendous for these players. As we've seen with Haytham, I had to go back to Israel. You can only imagine being stuck in a hotel room, not being able to get out and explore the surrounding areas, and you've still got to try and focus on that. A lot of boredom would have been set in. So hopefully there'll be a fresh start for players like Albion this season, and gets a good pre-season under his belt and gets fully fit and running, because we know he's a goal scorer. And we've seen that, and we've seen plenty of examples of that. But hopefully the rest of his game will be added to that.
Yeah. Cheers, Tom. All the best. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good luck. Well.
Thanks a lot. Legend Tom Boyd there, joining us live from his living room. He's away back to the driving range to work on that drive. He likes his golf, does Tom. Just on that, obviously when fans do start coming back to the stadium, you might have questions about, are there new protocols in place? Where's my seat going to be? I understand you'll have lots of questions. We're in the process of getting all of those communications sorted. Joe's been a huge part of that, so keep an eye on the website, and also social media. We'll be making sure that all of you know exactly what to expect and what we ask you to do when you do come back to the stadium. But hopefully, Joe, it'll not be long until we get massive numbers in here.
Yeah, I can't wait. My head's a little bit fried with the FAQs and stuff we've been doing. But listen, as a fan myself, it's the thought of contributing to getting fans back. It almost sounds abstract now that we're so deep into this, and the message which we're putting out ultimately will see bums back in seats, and it's hugely exciting. Just before we go, a couple of little bits of business that I think we should clear up from what the fans are talking about on social media. The mic'd up piece that we did with Ange Postecoglou went down really well. I thought it was great to actually be able to hear the manager in the middle of a coaching session with the players, and the supporters loved it. A lot of people, though, Joe, have been asking, who was it that scored that goal at the end of the piece? There was a long ball across, and then there was a great left foot finish into the bottom corner. Who was it? Ben Wiley.
Ben Wiley with the finish, and I think it was Dane Murray with a long crossfield ball, but it was young Ben Wiley with the finish. And the other thing I think it's worth bringing up is team lineups. This is something, Joe, from being in the office, that whenever we put out a team lineup, there's always a reaction to whether we've done it in numerical order or formation order. So I thought we'd just kind of clear that up now as to where this comes from. Over the last couple of seasons, we've changed and we've started to do it in numerical order. It's not my decision. It's not Joe's decision. It's not anyone's decision. It's not my decision. This is obviously coming from the football department. The manager previously has been keen to just give it in numerical order. It just means that if they do change the formation at some point, then it doesn't come across and the opposition manager can see that we've changed the formation beforehand. That's why we've changed it to numerical order. So don't blame us. It's not our decision, but we will speak to this manager, because I think it's worth speaking to him and saying, listen, how do you want to do this? Do you want to keep it in numerical? Do you want to do it in formation? I know it's important to you guys. It's important to you. Then it's important to us. So we will. You might see changes. You might not see changes, but we'll see how that one goes. Next up then, Joe, it's Charlton on Saturday afternoon. Then Bristol City next week before the boys come back up here for games against Preston, Midtjylland, and then West Ham So some good tests there.
Definitely, and like we said at the top of the programme, you know, these are pre-season games. They might be a little less intense, a little slower paced at times, but we saw a lot of kind of high pressing, especially as the game went on yesterday. And again, just to kind of echo Cal, the big games do come around really quickly. This one against Midtjylland's on the 20th, which is only less than 2 weeks away. So these games are really valuable. It's good for Ange Postecoglou to kind of impress some of the stuff that we saw. You mentioned the mic'd up piece, to see what he's doing at training, to get that onto the pitch as the big games come around.
Yeah, so Charlton game, 3 o'clock kick-off on Saturday afternoon. Join Louise Gould and Adam Matthews pitchside for that one. We hope you've enjoyed this kind of back behind the scenes kind of programme as to what's going on down at the camp with Callum. Thanks to Callum, thanks to Paul, thanks to Tom, thanks to Joe. Until the next time, we'll see you later.
The future is now.